So I'm gonna detail a little bit more about the collectible figures. Just excuse the noise in the background. There's people doing their thing over here, so hopefully that doesn't make your experience bad. But so there's these processes that you have to go through, or that I went through to kind of learn this, because I don't necessarily want to be a sculptor. I don't want to design the characters. I can do stuff like that, but I don't really have time for that. I have like a whole bunch of business to handle. I have to deal with promotion. I have to deal with, um, getting comic books put out. I have to deal with getting merchandise made, and Comic Cons and shipping and everything. I'm pretty much the one man army, so I don't have time to sculpt and learn how to do all this stuff that there's people that have an expertise that I could just hire. So the first thing I did was I got the characters designed. Either the character was designed already by one of the artists that I work with, like Skylar and his Dinky Weenie character, or I had the weaving designed by a great artist, Michael Vincent Epinet. So um, after you do that, you send it to sculpt. And so with getting this thing sculpted, Michael was like, yes, I can sculpt this into a 3D figure for you using ZBrush. So basically, I got the money together and I paid him to do that, and he did just that. He sculpted, the bones, the skin, the hair, and teeth, and all that other stuff. And it was just kind of a gray figure, but it had the design was we spoke a long time, and we went through this whole process of designing a character that you know made his sculpt you know that much more impressive than if I would have just went to somebody else to get it done that could bust it out quickly or whatever. So after that, I had that printed. So I went and found a printer. I found Rosen 3D, and he was like, "Yeah, I can print this for you." And we went over the cost and the timing and all this other stuff. And so he printed me one, but we had some issues, some things that I wasn't ready for. Some things like mirrored 3D images and file formats, and you know, spider trying to attack me. Anyways, it's better than smashing them. Let's put a little bit of hurricane force in front of them. But anyways, so things, the cuts, because when you design these 3D figures, you want to cut and key them so you can put them together. You can't just print a 22-inch figure with all these, just highly detailed figure and expect for it to come out right without toppling over or without breaking, or the printer just having faults. So I had another guy, this guy named Fabio Sam, who's a great sculptor. I had him do the technical work there, and he sliced these models into pieces and made sockets and keys, and it made printing it easier. But then some printers, like the larger printer that Rosen was using, prints mirrored. And there's just all these different little technical aspects that we ran into that I had to learn, that I would just warn people against. If you're gonna get into this type of stuff and be in my position, that you're gonna run into these errors where you may have to print a model 5 times, and that can get pretty expensive. You're gonna have to go back to the drawing board with either the sculptor or the person that's doing the technical work. And a lot of the time, these sculptors don't do the technical work, or if there is a sculptor that does the technical work, it's going to inflate the price. So, like, I made a conscious decision just to get the sculpt done and then worry about the technical part later. But moving forward, I may just only go through sculptors that can do everything, to where I can just send it to my printer and he can print that out and make it exactly what it's supposed to be. So anyways, with all that being said, the next step that I had to go through is, let's pause this real quick before I get to that. So anyways, so the thing that, I got this thing spinning above me, so beware if I get taken out. But the thing that I had to go to next after getting it printed is actually seeing the finished product, which wasn't very finished. It's really crude once you get it from the printer. And so therefore I had to find somebody that could refine this, and not only refine it, but copy it. And that is a monumental task, because there are a lot of people out there that can do that work, but when it comes to size, it's either going to scare them away, or it's going to cost you a lot of money, or it's just going to take a lot of time. And a lot of the time these guys won't even do it because they know that, even though they can do it. So I did find a person to do that, that's custom resin, and he usually does the plasticell figures. He sculpts and paints them and packages them. It's really tight stuff. But he did my first collectible figure or model, which was the Cavalryman. It was a 1/8 scale, so it wasn't the 1/6 scale, which is like real collectible type figures. So that one was very basic. It didn't have the slices with the keys and sockets and everything, but it came out fairly well. But yeah, like just like I was saying, it takes time and it takes a lot of skill, and you can't just get anybody to try to do that, and you can't just pick up and start doing it. It's going to take you at least a year, 2 years to even learn, to get some stuff to come out right, and you're going to buy a lot of materials and a lot of equipment. But I wanted him to do larger figures for me, and he was like, well, I'm used to doing smaller figures. And I was like, well, what if it's like some of these parts are like too big for my pressure chamber, so I invested in a large pressure chamber. It's like almost $1,000 for just a pressure chamber, but that's how dedicated I am to like getting my stuff out there. But even after that, once I get those back, I have to get somebody to paint these things, and a lot of the time these guys know each other. I wouldn't say so much the sculptors and the technical guys when it comes to sculpting, but the guys that are the printers usually know, not the printers, but the people that can sculpt, hand sculpt, and cast models, and make molds and stuff. They usually know painters, because they're usually working hand in hand. So I kind of just piggyback off of their friends list or their followers and stuff, and I find people that way that can do the paint and refine stuff for me. So right now I'm in that process. I'm in the process of having stuff painted. Like I have the weaving getting painted right now. That's the model that's about 22 inches tall. It's really big, and the guy that's painting it, his name is Joe Clay, from Joel Creations. Really good dude. He's done some work. He did the Cavalryman for me. He painted that original Cavalryman at 1/8 scale, and he just recently finished painting the Dinky Winnies, which I should have today. Hopefully I can show that off. But now in a few weeks, hopefully I'll have the weaving to show you guys, and that's supposed to be like the blockbuster one, but this is still like a prototype. You know, they're going to be made to order, and they're not cheap. Each model is about $2,000, and you know, it's not just for some random guy that just wants to have a cool figure in his house. And there's so many motorcycles over here. Everybody's living that life. But yeah, so it's not even close to being done. I have to get packaging done. I had a place that cuts styrofoam and all types of different foams out in the Bay Area, but this guy wanted to charge me $500 additional just to do some line work, just to make a line drawing of my 3D packages that I had designed by Fabio San, who once again does all this great work and stuff. And I hit this guy up and I'm like, yeah, I can supply you the 3D files of how these styrofoam cutouts, these inserts for, you know, to hold the models inside of a box to protect them from shipping and stuff. I have all that designed. Can you help me out? And he's like, yeah. So basically he can help me out if I pay for the more expensive foam, because he's going to use my 3D files. But with the styrofoam, he needs just a line drawing and not the 3D models. And he said in order to do the CAD work, he would have to charge me additional $500. And so I'm like, I don't know. I was about to just pull the trigger, but I was like, I don't know. I don't even have the models right now. And I started getting in contact with different people. I met my good friend Gilbert, who is the head of Crownless Comics, who I'm helping him get that off the ground under C. He just happened to have a friend that is in the packaging, so I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, that's ridiculous. So he plugged me through a few of his other friends, and finally, you know, they got back to me and they're like, yeah, we can't really do anything for you. So I was just like searching for like a year and a half, 2 years, just to try to get styrofoam. It's really, really hard because I'm only doing really, really tiny runs, you know, 10, 20 models. Nobody's going to cut you styrofoam like that. It's just not going to happen. But just a few weeks ago, I found a place in Los Angeles that, you know, it's like, yeah, we could do that. Just send us the measurements. But then again, now I'm stuck with this thing that I didn't think was going to happen. I don't have the models. You know, the guy's still working on, you know, casting them and getting multiples done and stuff. And I just don't have the models. So now I'm waiting on the models just to be able to measure them so they could cut me the styrofoams, inserts to just to be able to ship out the models. That's not even getting them painted, you know, and shipping is crazy with, you know, big pieces like this. So, and then I got my guy, Nate, who he does all my technical stuff in my books besides Skylar Kinney. I don't want to butcher his last name, but Nate Berjolt, guy out of Canada, real cool dude. We've become friends over the years, or it's been a couple years. He does all my, you know, lettering and covers and stuff. He does, you know, aligns all my stuff and gets everything ready for print. He resizes stuff, you know, he changes the formats, does whatever I ask him to do. Is really instrumental. But you know, now I tasked him with doing the designs of the boxes for these collectible figures. So that's just yet another thing that I have to do, and then I have to get those boxes printed and made once I get the inserts done, and then I have to have the models painted, and that's gonna be shipping and doing all this stuff, and then I have to wrap them in plastic. And then, you know, if I really wanted to do it, which I'm probably not gonna do for a while, but that's to get barcodes for all of my products. I don't plan on selling them in stores, and if somebody wants to do consignment or put me in a store, they can make temporary barcodes. They can get them. So I'm not really worried about that. Plus, all my stuff is in-house. You won't be able to find my stuff anywhere else. Anybody that works with me, our stuff isn't going to be in the stores. And I know that's bad when it comes to money, but I'm trying to build something bigger here. once my website is up, you'll see. I'll have another video about that. But yeah, anyways, this 15 minutes of me talking about how I do collectible figures, or how I'm trying to do them, and how it's been a couple years, man, a little over a couple years. And I made it through COVID and all this other stuff, but there's still a ways to go, and I ain't giving up anytime soon. And it's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts and stuff, but that's just what it is. I'm willing to do that type of stuff just to create the things that I set out to create, and hopefully people will like them and people will buy them. I mean, I've had people come up to me at Comic Cons and want to buy my prototypes of the weaving, the weaving is anywhere from $1,600 to $2,000. And they're like, yeah, let me get it right now. And I'm like, well, I'm like, I don't have packaging. It's not painted. It's all rough right here. They're like, I don't care. I love it. It looks great. So just imagine once it's refined and painted and it has a box and all this other stuff. So that's the thing that keeps me going. But anyways, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm going to get back to eating these tacos that I just got for free